So does the casting culture exist?
Yeah, of
or
course
is it a
does.
myth?
No, of course it exists. I mean, it frustrated me that just because you're talented, like, sometimes they will choose someone if they sleep with them. I know I've lost work because there's been that apprehension to say to me of like, oh, you know, do you want to like party and stuff? I don't do parties.
You know, we've had lots of stories from a lot of British actresses that have left here from London to go to Bollywood, saying that they've been asked to do certain things.
Yeah.
So we will not cast you for this particular role if you don't do
So they don't say we're not gonna cast you. What they'll be like is you're more likely to get this if you sleep with me. That's what it's like. It's like they don't say, oh, if you don't blah blah blah. No, it's more like, oh, if you want this, then you should do this. You know, because everyone does it. And then they'll name drop like big names. Oh, but I slept with this person and this person. I hate it when people say like, oh, you've got masculine energy. I'm like, if I've got masculine energy and you're intimidated by that, that makes you a weak ass little bitch. Like, seriously, that's what it makes you. It makes you weak. I had an ex recently that sent like really like rude, like horrible, like abusive messages at 4 a.m. And I'm just like, I didn't feel anything. I'm just like, I feel sorry for you because you're clearly hurting. When I hate the word influence. I found it so tacky. But it's,
Why do you hate the word?
Because
We
it's
were
just
having
like,
this debate
because it's just
outside.
like you're influencing what?
But the word influencer, I think because there's such low barriers to entry, that someone like you who's had to work for many, many years to get where you are, and then someone else pops up and gets millions of followers in a weekend.
No, because that implies like that, like, oh, I'm jealous that someone does that.
Not
No,
jealous. One thing I think I differ with you is that number one, I think. Hello, I'm Dr. Vanita Ratan.
And I'm Anisha Vasani.
Welcome to Taboo Table Talk. So we're uncovering controversial topics in a modern world.
It's now time to change conversations and question the status quo. Our next guest is Elena Fernandes, who is a supermodel, an actress, and a philanthropist, who's born in London to a Peruvian mother and Indian father. Elena resides in London and works out of London, Dubai, Mumbai, and New York. Elena's career started with a 12-page editorial for Vogue India and has since blossomed into a supermodel, talented actress, and a much-praised philanthropist. She's regularly seen in editorials, front covers of leading global magazines. Elena juggles her successful modelling career with a flourishing film and television career. Elena runs her own charity, I Am Change, and spends a significant portion of her time in US working with SightLife, a charity which tackles comical blindness. She also gives regular talks at schools for PETA and Wi-Fi.
Welcome, Elena. Thank you so much for joining our podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
So the first question that we wanted to ask you about was, how did you get your first big break?
It depends what you define by big break, to be honest. Like, if I would say it would be my Vogue India 12-page editorial. That was definitely like insane amazing because we shot that in Bali, and that was just, I got booked for it. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So does the casting culture exist?
Yeah, of
or
course
is it a
does.
myth?
No, of course it exists. But I think it exists everywhere. Like, I've experienced it in the legal field. I've experienced it in the film industry, modeling industry. I think it's everywhere. I think whenever someone, I personally think that if you were a dweeb or a pathetic individual in school and all of a sudden you come into power, but you're already like a rotten person to the core, you're going to then feel that you have power to have revenge on, you know, those who are mean to you. Like the beautiful girls that ignored you in school, now you feel like, oh, okay, I can get her to do anything I want. It's just pathetic. Like, I look at them and I'm just like, you're pathetic, seriously. Yeah, but of course it does exist.
So even in the, I don't know if everybody knows, but actually Elena did law at King's College London. She's already got one master's under her belt. She's doing her second master's. And so when you say law, there's a casting couch in law as well. What do you mean by
you don't
that?
call it casting couch, but it's more of like an abuse of power. That's what I would say. In any profession where you've got an individual, whether it being a man or a woman, that feels that they can abuse their position, if you're not a nice person, then they're going to do that. You know, they will abuse their position because some people just go on little power trips, and when actually they're just weak as fuck, basically. Yeah.
So Elena, we've had lots of stories from a lot of British actresses that have left here from London to go to Bollywood, saying that they've been asked to do certain things.
Yeah.
So we will not cast you for this particular role if you don't do
So
this.
they don't say we're not going to cast you. What they'll be like is you're more likely to get this if you sleep with me. That's what it's like. It's like they don't say, oh, if you don't blah blah blah. No, it's more like, oh, if you want this, then you should do this. You know, because everyone does it. And then they'll name drop like big names. Oh, but I slept with this person and this person. To which you should just respond, well, then go back then. Go sleep with them again. Leave me alone, you freaking creep. But I can understand when girls come over and, you know, especially when you come from a background where Bollywood is so huge and, you know, you want to be with Shah Rukh and all of that. You know, there's this pressure, not just in Bollywood, but even like with models, say if you've come from Russia or Ukraine, you've got this pressure that you want to do well, you've invested so much money in it, you know, you feel that you kind of have to. So it annoys me when people say, when normies, that's what I like to call them, when normal people say, oh, but you can just walk away, go somewhere else. But if you've worked in an industry for like 10, 15 years and you've given it your all, you've got all this pressure, sometimes you feel like you don't have a choice, you know?
It's
And that's why you should never,
as well,
so you should never judge. Like I know several actresses that have slept their way to the top or whatever, but it's just like, if that's what you felt that you needed to do and what you wanted to do, I can understand it. You should never judge anyone because you never know what they're going through, you know. But people are so people are so quick to judge. You know, people are
judge the girls.
Yeah. People judge the girls. They don't judge the guy or a woman who's abused their position.
How can you judge a girl who's vulnerable?
Because, I know, but they don't, because they see it as, well, like, she's pretty and she's successful. There's so much hate, and it's just
so
like,
is this just misogyny then at this point?
It's not even misogyny, because girls hate on other girls all the
also,
time. It's such nonsense. You have like, oh my God, I'm a feminist, a female empowerment. And I'm like, you all bitch about each other.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
See, I've known you for a decade, and one thing, you know, I've known about you for so long is you're very headstrong.
Yeah.
And if something is not right, you are
but people
not
don't like
scared
that.
And you don't feel fear. Exactly, that's what was my question. How do you feel that you are then perceived or received? And I know you don't care about what people think about you, and that's why I think you've done well.
People, I hate it when people say like, oh, you've got masculine energy. I'm like, if I've got masculine energy and you're intimidated by that, that makes you a weak-ass little bitch. Like, seriously, that's what it makes you. It makes you weak. If you find me intimidating, you are weak. You know, because I don't do these whole tags of, oh my God, masculine energy, alpha, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm a strong woman. What is the problem in that? But match me. You know, it's very simple. I've dated guys who have then become very insecure because they're like, oh, you're so independent. So then grow up. I'm not going to make myself small just to make you feel bigger.
Yeah.
Grow. I'm not shrinking. Why should I shrink for?
Yeah.
And honestly, we admire that so much about you and salute you for having a voice. So you're talking about like women in the industry. Do you feel that they have supported you? Are there women that support you within the film industry, or even just models? Because obviously I've seen you go from being a model, a supermodel, to now an actress.
I mean, I think if I reflect generally, like even on my life, like strangers are the nicest. People who know you are the worst. Yeah. Like, because people want to see you do well, but they don't want to see you do better than them. You know, so sometimes your enemy is like close friends, you know.
I think because there's a comparison when you're comparing yourself to someone that maybe you've grown up with.
But it's an insecurity. That's their problem, 100%. Not mine.
It is their problem, and it is an insecurity, and that's exactly what it is. It's that. So you know, there's this narrative that women don't support women, and we are very competitive with each other.
But that's true. I don't even think it's rock solid.
But specifically for limited resources. So for example, there's one role. You know, I'm sure everyone's going to be a little bit on top of each other to get that one role. Is the same thing happen with men in Bollywood as well? Or
it is. It's definitely with men as well. It's like, but for anything in life, generally there'll be one position, and it's whoever is the most competent to do it. Like ideally, that's how it should be. Yeah. But sometimes you do have things like nepotism and, you know, other factors that do take place. But sadly, that is the world we operate in, and you either quit or you keep on going. You can't use, oh, okay, but they got this because of that. All right, cool. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to go knock on another door, or are you going to sit there and cry?
That's so true. And obviously you've starred with so many amazing male actors like Akshay Kumar, John Abraham, Tiger Shroff, and Arjun Kapoor, just to name a few. Yeah. You know, what has their encouragement and their support been with yourself? And who has been your favourite actor? I think I know the answer to this, but who's been your most favourite actor?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. You know something, because I have 4 brothers, I've always felt more comfortable around men than I have women, because I'm very secure within myself. I'm not one of those like cliquey, like girly girls, whatever. If that's you, cool, it's not me. So I've always just had like a really good rapport. Like Arjun, obviously, like I worked with recently, I think he's awesome. Like, you know, like his trainer is like married to like one of my friends, my model friends. And so he's really awesome. Akshay's really awesome. So many of them are just like really great, like obviously Amitabh and Butler and stuff. So it's really nice, and you get to see them just for like who they are. Like you obviously know they've got like these huge personas, but they are just, you know, we are all just normal people.
So with these male co-stars, because obviously they do have these screaming fans, do they have to be
Everyone has screaming
The
fans.
screen
It's just
fans,
not
yeah.
male co-stars.
But specifically for them, do they have to be more loyal to their wives to appease their wives and make sure they don't feel jealous, or do they almost given a free pass to do what they want with who they want because they're
no, I think that's a very like generalized thing. If you're gonna cheat on your wife, whether you're famous or not, you're gonna cheat. It's not got anything to do with fans, because you can be a regular guy who has women chasing them on Instagram. It's got nothing to do with you being like a celebrity or not, and it's up to you as a woman if you're going to give your husband a free pass or not.
But we hear so many rumours in the press, and I know you shouldn't listen to everything you read, that they're not being loyal to one another. They're all having open relationships with directors or other like leading actors and actresses. Is this all true? Is there any truth in some of this context that comes out?
Well, I think, like, for example, like, say if you're filming for 6 months with those same people in like close quarters, sometimes there is that, you know, overbalance, but then you do also get that, say, in the corporate industry. Like, say if you're like working like abroad for like 6 months and you're with like your PA like all the time, sometimes I guess those boundaries do get blurred. And like, but then people don't realize sometimes if you're in that kind of like cocoon for like 6 months, you see that person in a different light, but then you're out of that cocoon and you're like, ew, actually, you know, why did I even like that person, you know?
What was the biggest shock you realised about Bollywood? What was the thing that surprised you the most?
No, it's not that it surprised me. I mean, it frustrated me that just because you're talented, like, sometimes they will choose someone if they sleep with them. And it more like that pisses me off. Like, it's frustrating. Laziness, that also annoys me. Like, they'll say, okay, there's this project and stuff, and people talk a lot of crap, which annoys me. They'll be like, oh, we've got this and that. I'm like, because they just want to talk to you. I'm like, no, I don't have time to waste. You're either doing it or you're not. I'm not going for a dinner. We're not meeting up late. We're not going for a coffee. Is the project happening or not? It's a very simple thing. It's a yes or a no. But then that comes across as being aggressive. And I'm like, no, it's just me being direct. Like, I'm not wasting my time here. I've got things to do. I have a schedule, you know? But people just want to spend time with you, chill. They're like, oh, we need to get to know you. I'm like, why? I'm playing a character. I'll send you my bio. There you go. Just Google, you know?
Yeah, it feels like there's all these ways for them to spend time with you without actually having a concrete job. It's almost like they're trying to get as much as they can from you.
Yeah, and I'm just like, if you want to talk to me or whatever, you can pay. Like, you sit down, like, you want to have a meeting about a thing, cool. So I'm going to bill you for that because we're discussing the project. I don't have time to waste, but people can generally tell, like, within 10 minutes, like, I'm not here to mess around.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm very, very direct. Is this going somewhere or is it not? Like, are you doing this or are you not?
Do you think NRI girls behave differently in these settings, and are the expectations different?
I think so. You know something, there's this stereotype that exists that people think that foreign girls are like easy. Like, I guess they have that mentality because, you know, they think Western girls are really easy. And I'm just like, oh, this just highlights your ignorance. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, oh, what you see because you watch American films and you think these girls sleep about. I'm just like, you're so dumb. And so there is that kind of like assumption that they think, oh, these girls can do anything. And it's just like, no, dude, don't touch me. Like, seriously. But then again, like, each person is individual. Like, it depends. If girls want to sleep around, like, then go for it. If it makes you happy, then do it. Like, that's just not my cup of tea. I don't have time for that. Like, literally.
I don't think these girls want to. I think they feel like they have no choice.
Sure.
I think it's awful.
So
I think they're vulnerable. It's a horrible situation.
So I wouldn't say it's just girls, because I know guys as well who have
guys
been
as
like,
well have been in that situation.
Yeah, guys. So many guys. I would say that guys get it worse.
Really?
Yeah,
What?
guys get it worse because, like, some of them, like, for example, and Indian guys also get it worse because you've got to imagine sometimes they've come from like a small village or something like that. They're not, you know, the whole notion of like homosexuality is still like it's not like how it is in the Western world. So there are guys that I know that have done stuff that they've not wanted to, but they felt they had to because they want to progress. And you got to understand, in India, like, everyone wants to be Bollywood. Everyone wants to be a Shah Rukh. Everyone wants to be like an Amitabh, you know, an Amir Khan, like all of that. So when you've grown up and that's so embedded in your culture, sometimes they feel like, oh no, but I want to make my family proud. And they're from small villages, you know? So
they're more vulnerable.
Yeah, so they're more vulnerable. So I personally think, like, yes, I know a lot of girls who have gone through horrific stuff, but I feel like sometimes we forget that also the guys go through so much as well. And I know women as well who have abused their position, like, with guys and stuff like that. Like, I think there's at times, like, I would say yes, like, men are worse at times, but the women can be equally as bad.
So do you feel women sometimes instigate it as well?
Yeah, because they think that
Like
they think it's not as bad because they're a woman. I'm just like, you're equally as bad. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I can't even get my head around this.
You can see how desensitized I'm to it because I'm just like, but this is the reality of it. And people don't talk about it because they get scared. I'm like, oh, what are you going to do? You're not going to book me on a job. Oh, boo-hoo. Thank God I have my law to fall back on. God forbid.
Yes.
See, this is it. You need something to fall back on.
But that's why whenever we give like school talks, like in part of my charity work, we talk about in life you have to have something, whether it be your education or a skill, something that no one can take away from you.
100%.
You know?
See, I think that puts you in apart from a lot of the actresses out there
Yeah.
who just want to follow their acting dream. So do you feel you've been exploited sometimes by a lot of directors or casting directors asking you to do certain things that you don't want to do?
No, I don't do what I don't want to do.
Or even, what is the most outrageous position that you've been put in where they've said, right, you've got to do this in order to get this?
No one has ever said to me, oh, you've got to do this in order to do this, because I'm rude and I will sue you and I will just like put it on social media. Like, I don't care. I know I've lost work because there's been that apprehension to say to me of like, oh, you know, do you want to like party and stuff? I don't do parties. I can't be bothered with it. Like, I want to be at home watching Law and Order. I don't want to freaking sit and watch everyone get drunk. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke. What am I going to do? Watch you all get messed up off your face? No, I'm good, thanks. You know, like, no. It's annoying with people hitting on you or approaching you because you don't know what they want. Do they want to talk to you because they want to be your friend, or do they want to talk to you because of who you are? Like, do they want something? So you always assume that people want something. So it's just like the people. So then other models get it, because when someone approaches you, it's just like, yeah, what do you want? Like, get to the point. What is it?
I think you have a disproportionate number of strangers come up to you compared to other people living more normal lives, should we say?
Yeah, no, but that's what I call it. It's like, obviously my life isn't normal. Like, who I am isn't normal, you know? So you are like more aware of these things. I remember I was doing, I was at uni, this was like 6 months ago, with my friend, and we were just walking around like the law fair because we were looking at like barrister courses. And I got a message from someone saying, oh, I saw you at King's today. I didn't know you were here. And I'm just like, oh my God, like I'm in my tracks. You know what I mean? Like, when I'm in a place of like education, or if I'm with my family or my friends, that's my time. That's like my circle. Like, for example, when we were at the premiere last night for Barbie, you have like Will Ferrell there, but you have him with his family. So it's like, when asked like, oh, do you want to do a picture? I'm like, dude, he's with his family. I don't want to like impose on someone's personal space. I appreciate he's a great actor. I've seen him. Cool. That's it.
See, you're respectful for that. That's exactly what I told you. And a lot of other girls in your position wouldn't have been.
Yeah, because they're just like, it's for the gram, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it's all about. And
you should be aware. Like I walked past him, literally like 10 centimeters away from him, but he's got his kids there with him.
Do you feel you understand that more because you are an actress, but other maybe people like his influencers?
It's self-awareness. It's self-awareness. I hate the word influencer. I found it so tacky. But it's,
why do you hate the word?
Because
it's just
like you're influencing what? Like, literally, like, you're influencing what? Are you influencing like world change? But like, I would say more politicians are someone like, if to fit under the narrative of what an influencer is, that would be people in positions of power. What is like an influencer? I find it so tacky, and with the fact that everyone can be an influencer, I'm just like, I find it really pathetic. I'm like, it's not a job. Yeah. It's not something they'll be like, yeah, but I earn thousands. Cool. What are you doing with that? If you're investing it and building a property empire or something like that, great. You know, like, are you helping change like girls or kids like viewpoints in society and stuff? Great. You're actually making a substantial difference. Even if it's a small difference, cool, you're doing like something. Like, I've seen people who have created like amazing brands on social media, like in terms of like beauty brands and stuff like that.
I looked into influencer. I felt the same way initially, and I was asking myself, why do I feel this way? And it could be for a number of reasons.
Mine is that the term is.
I think it's a word. I think there's a connotation. I tell you what I think. I think influencer just means someone who can change your opinion, right? Who you trust and can persuade you to change your opinion. But the word influencer, I think, because there's such low barriers to entry, that someone like you, who's had to work for many, many years to get where you are, and then someone else pops up and gets millions of followers in a weekend.
No, because that implies like that, like, oh, I'm jealous that someone does that.
Not jealous. It's just a lower barriers to entry, meaning you've had to work hard to get there.
No, I just find the term like pathetic. That's
you feel it's demeaning a little bit.
It's not even that it's demeaning. It's just like, what is it? It's such a weak term. Like, there should be more to you than just like the simple things. So when people say, how do you describe yourself? I'm a talent. You know, I'm a supermodel. I've shot for Vogue like 6, 7, 8 times. I've done my covers like FHM. You know, I've done all my commercials. I've done my film work. I'm a brand. I'm a talent. That's what I am. You know, because there is a backing to that.
Yeah, and like you said, there are a lot of influencers that are out that are influencing in a positive way.
Yeah.
As you said, like the charity work that you do as a philanthropist, and you know, you've done that. And would you feel that you then can use your platform as a positive way then to influence.
Yeah,
on your social media.
I think anyone who has a platform, whether it being small or big, should use it to bring about some sort of difference in society to make it better, because that's the whole point. If you're in a position of power, no matter how small, your incentive should be that you want to make a difference. Otherwise, what's the point?
I agree with you, but I think one thing I think I differ with you is that, number one, I think becoming an influencer democratizes power. Power is taken away from the few who gatekeep, for example, Bollywood, and allows anybody to have a voice. So I love that about about kids being influencers and teens being influencers. But second is that I think that they watch other influencers who are maybe a little bit older, who are doing philanthropic work and thinking, do you know what, I would like to do this for my followers. I'd like to learn about scarcity of water and now teach my followers about scarcity of water. Hey, why don't we do fundraising too, which is what I do on my page as well. But it's another way of me using influence in order to help as many people as I can, because the alternative is not very good. The alternative is power in the hands of a few, which I absolutely don't like. I want to democratize power, so everyone having access to a phone and everyone having access to teach in whatever capacity they want. Maybe they're going through abuse and they want to talk about their own abuse. Maybe they are talking about divorce and the struggles that they're facing. And they tend to gather a group of people around them, go through the same pain point, and you can give tips, and you are teaching, and you're an influencer just based on your own POV. And then creating a tribe and doing something great for the world, for me, I can only see as a positive thing. I think they do sometimes start off maybe a bit superficial, but then they do eventually evolve, because we're all looking at each other going, what else can I do? How else can I add value? So they might break into the sphere and the noise by, doing more, frivolous things, let's say, and then go on to do philanthropic work later. So this is why I might counter you on the whole influencer thing. I just think that the word influencer just sounds, it's just not a great word. I think the connotation is not great, but I think the power that comes, especially to women, especially young women, I don't think you can fault that.
So obviously I know you were very close with Shashank. You knew of him. And there was a lot of theories at the time around whether, he did commit suicide or whether he was murdered. And I know at the time you had your viewpoints, and a lot of the Bollywood actors and actresses did actually, really voice what they felt had happened.
But this is where I think it gets dangerous, because some people then don't accept the simple truth. Sometimes, sadly, people do go through depression, and sometimes they feel that suicide is the only way out. But sometimes people find that it's too simple of an explanation. There has to be some drama behind it, which actually makes it worse for everyone else. Because the only people that know what's going on sometimes is you. I can sit here smiling to you. You don't know what's going on in my head. Fans don't know what's going on in my day-to-day. People aren't with you 24/7. They don't know what your demons are. I mean, and this is the thing with mental health, that they deliberately promote advertisements of happy people saying, but this person still has a mental health issue, because you don't know what's going on, which is why I say always be kind and decent, because you don't know what people are going through.
So have you ever been in a dark place, Elena?
Yeah, 100%.
Yourself. And how have you coped? How have you got yourself out to the other side? Because I know you love spending time with yourself, and a lot of people don't. I'm guilty of that. I really battled that in COVID.
I write. Ever since I was 6 years old, I've always had diaries. I write. That's it. Because when you write a diary, you can look back maybe 10 years and you think, oh my God, I forgot I was going through that, and I got through it.
So journaling has obviously become a big thing. We know more and more people are journaling now, which really, really helps. But where would you say in your life there's been an episode where you just found it really hard to overcome, but you did finally overcome it?
I mean, I think there's been probably 4 or 5 times where I think last year when I met some really horrible people in my personal life that I didn't think were like that, and I'd never experienced people so messed up in my life that were very manipulative. And it was very shocking, because even though I've seen a lot of the world, sometimes when you see what bad a human being can be capable of, you're like, wow, and that really took me aback, that I was just like, wow, people can be really, and then it makes you think what is the state of the world? Why is everything so messed up? But then you meet amazing people, that, you know, still carry the light, because even though you may see so much darkness, there will always be a tiny bit of light, and if you can't see it, then be it.
Who is your biggest inspiration, would you say, and a female a female or a male that you really look up to?
I love
that is inspirational.
I like Angelina Jolie because I love the charity work that she does, and she raises awareness by, like, you know, doing the work with the UN, and she's very passionate about that with her refugee work and things like that. So, and she's very kind of like, and she's vocal. Every interview she does, she always like talks about her charity work, and she finds it very important.
Yeah. And why was your charity work so important as well? And please do share with everyone that is obviously following us about your work that you do, obviously, with, I know that you've got these amazing 11 cats.
Because I think
as a
human being, you have to, it's your responsibility to be like a voice or to help those who aren't in a position to be helped. So that's why I think it's a basic of being a human being. You should always do your bit, whether it's giving a poor person like a sandwich or something like that, helping someone who's injured. You know what I mean? It's just an act of kindness. There's no size to the act of kindness. It's just the act itself.
And what kind of charity work have you been doing over the years? Because I know you've done
but my main focus has always been like animal welfare and educating people about TNR, which is trap, neuter, release. So basically, you teach them that, you know, you should have some value for life. It shouldn't be that a kitten and puppy are dying every 60 days. So we teach them about neutering, the importance of it. Like, if there's 5 dogs living in a society, keep it at 5 dogs, because you don't have much money to feed them anyway. So you don't want to have puppies keep on being born and then they're dying and stuff. So we teach them that. And then if you're improving the relationship between man and animal, you will in effect improve the relationship between man and man, because you're implementing compassion, and then that will rub off. And it's basically paying kindness forward, because someone will see you being nice to an animal or something, and they'll be like, oh, they've done that, or maybe I can do something. You know, it's a subconscious thing.
And do you think you'll adopt more?
No.
I know, well, you're done. How do you juggle with, obviously, your acting life, also then with your modelling work, travelling, because you travel so much, and then having 11
Because no one's
cats.
too busy. No one is too busy.
Who looks after them while you're away?
So it's about scheduling. So right now my younger brother does, but I have a bunch of cat sitters. For example, when I was in India, you got to imagine, like, in India I was by myself, renting my apartment, but you find people. I researched whatever, asked around, which cat sitter, whatever, found out who are the reviews and stuff like that. Like, for example, if you're going to send your kid to school, you're going to do your research, find out which is the best school. So then you build up your own directory, you know, and then if someone comes to you and says, oh, hey, like, I'm traveling, you know, and then I'm like, okay, these are my people, but please also you check if they work for you. They worked for me, I don't know if they're going to work for you. So for example, my friends have got cat sitters that I wouldn't work with because I don't like how they operate, whereas I've got my cat sitters which I deal with. And then it's all about scheduling. Like, I keep a schedule on my phone every day before I go to sleep. I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Priyanka Chopra talks a lot about not being paid as much as men in Bollywood, and then Hollywood, the first time she's ever been paid equal was Citadel. What do you think it would take for equal pay in Bollywood?
So the thing with Priyanka, so it's not equal pay because, for example, Marsden, who she acted alongside, she earned more than him. So I think it depends as well about your volume of work. Like, for example, even say a Katrina or a Deepika is not going to get the same pay as Shah Rukh, because there is Shah Rukh and then there's everyone. Like, for example, not even, say, an Amir Khan will get the same paycheck as a Shah Rukh, you know? So it's just different. I think it really does depend on your work volume and stuff like that. My contracts have always been very fair, always read my contracts and stuff. And it's about me accepting what I feel comfortable with. Like, obviously, it depends on just, like, which level you're at. Like, you've got, like, a Meryl Streep or an Angelina Jolie, you know, everyone's at different, like, you know, when was their last film? You know, was it a box office hit? Like, all of those things. And sometimes people don't realize a lot of the actors, they'll take, rather than taking a big paycheck, they'll take a commission of the profits of the film. Yeah, so a lot of them do that. So they'll be like, okay, I want 4% of the proceeds and I want XYZ as part of the promotion. It's not just about, I want the same paycheck. There's so many ways you can earn more money rather than just getting a standard paycheck. It's about taking a commission from that's what the, what's his name, The Rock does. He takes profits.
Even Air Jordan, do you remember?
So they'll take a very small minimal paycheck, but then they'll even Tom Cruise was one of the first people to do that. So that's that, they earn a fortune like that. So it's not about paycheck. It doesn't matter. What people go for are, can I get a commission of the proceeds? That's it.
I love it.
And now going onto body imaging. Now, I've seen you when you were size 0 when I first obviously met you to now, and you know, with you are now obviously embracing your body so much more on social media. You are really proud, and a lot of girls, I think, in your position are a little bit more cautious about how they present themselves and show their body. What pressures have you seen from obviously the industry where, you know, we knew, even when I was obviously being like casting girls, there was a certain obviously average height and waistline and everything that we had to do, which I hated being in that position. How have you seen the difference now from when the pressures of you having to be a size 0 to now you just being comfortable in your own skin?
No, I think that comes from more of deciding what I want. You know, like I didn't want to do runway anymore, and I'd achieved so much in film that I'm just like, hold on, like I've done so much, I don't want to conform anymore. So it was my personal choice. If I wanted to carry on being a size 0, I could have been, but I just didn't want to be. But one thing, like you'll see, like even on my covers, I'm not overly photoshopped. I hate Photoshop. I think it's ridiculous, and the way people face tune, and I find it like really sad, because you've got like young 16, 17, 18-year-old boys and girls who hate themselves because of how they look, and it's so sad. And I'll talk about things like, you know, stretch marks, or if you gain weight and stuff, and that's absolutely fine. Like how I look on my Instagram is how I look in real life. Like that's the most important thing, you know. How I look in my editorials is how I look in real life, and people will just be like, oh yeah, but you're pretty, it's fine to say that. It's like, no, it's more about being pretty comes from being confident with who you are. You know, like when people say but like what is being sexy, I'm just like, it's a personality type. Like that's it. You know, it's how you carry yourself. People will still say, oh, you look hot when you're in trackies, because it's how you carry yourself, you know, and accepting yourself for your flaws and stuff like that. Okay, cool. Like, yeah, you have a pimple. Okay, cool. That doesn't make you any less beautiful. For me, I look at the soul. If your soul is good and beautiful, then you're always going to be beautiful. It's irrelevant what society deems as beautiful. But if you have a beautiful soul, you will forever be beautiful. If you're a bad person, you're always going to have an ugly soul. Like, that's it. It doesn't matter. You can be the most societal, beautiful person, but if you've got an ugly soul, you will be ugly. Yeah,
because obviously it works from the work that you do is from
within.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think you've been such an inspiration to so many women out there, Elena, because you embrace, I'm curvaceous myself. And I look at you and you've inspired me to think, you know, that you actually are there, and you are like, obviously, you know, in your bikini pictures, you're in your lingerie, and you are embracing that it is beautiful to equally be as curvaceous, because you're right. I think there's a lot of pressure now. But you have to edit your pictures, like you said. You've got to be in a certain way. You've got to pose in a certain way to, you know, not be judged. And how do you overcome all the judgment that comes? I know you don't care, but...
The thing is, no, it's not about that. But you know, the thing is that like, I don't like it when my friends who are naturally skinny then get a hard time, because they're then like, that's not beautiful. I'm like, I know girls who are naturally super slim, and they are naturally like, say, a size 2 or a 4, but that is their frame. And what I don't like is that people now push the narrative of like, you have to be curvy to be beautiful. Like you saw there was this girl, they banned the Mango campaign recently because they said the girl is too skinny. And it's just like, but she is naturally like that. Like you can generally tell when girls, there are some girls who are really like naturally like super slim. Like I've lived with those girls, and you see them stuffing their face all the time, and it's just, they're genetically very slim. Like for example, you look at Kenyans, they're naturally super slim. To us, they may look, oh my God, they're so skinny, but they're just naturally slim. And now you see this backlash of people saying, oh my God, they're disgusting. Like, you should never say that about any body type, you know? Be concerned, yes, if a doctor has said it's unhealthy. Like, and I've seen on TikTok, you see girls who, like, they've not really clamped down on it much, like very badly anorexic girls who are just like bone, and it's really sad. You know, so I think all body types are beautiful, and it's just about being confident and healthy. Healthy can be, you know, anything. But then, because then you'll see maybe some curvaceous women who are size 18, 20, and that might not be healthy according to their doctor. The important thing is to find what is healthy for you and for your body type, that, you know, your health is fine, your organs are fine, you know, all those sorts of things.
Yeah, and I, as you know, that's why my purpose for the fashion brunch was to highlight these plus size women, because I know what they've been battling behind the scenes, and I like to change the narrative, and I feel like that is my purpose. When you were saying about influencing, my purpose is to do things differently and not the conventional way, and to change the narrative and to change conversations. They are just as beautiful being size 18 to 24.
Yeah.
And why are they being penalised or made to feel like they're not beautiful just because they're plus size.
But see, that's the thing, Anisha, like, you've got great morals in the sense that you as a human being, for as long as I've known you, your morals have always led the way in terms of that. I've always known you, even at the magazine, you'll have variety. Like, I remember I may have been like the slimmest one, but then I remember there would be girls who were slightly curvaceous. And it wasn't that like you were influencing change, but it was more that you stuck to your guns, you know, and you were like, at the time it was like a market where there was a lot of like men in charge and everything, but you stood your ground and you did what you believe is right, in the hopes that, you know, you're going to continue doing this regardless and achieve, you know, what you feel your purpose is. And then you've done that. And it's amazing.
It means so much, because I really did. And sometimes you're right, you're in a position where you're not, you know, you're not right at the top where you're able to like sign off like certain decisions. But I was like you
stuck with your
was
morals.
Not afraid of being
and you stuck with your morals.
Standing by what I thought was right.
But that's the main thing. And it's like, you know, then you did like all XYZ, but for you it didn't matter of like whether people followed you or like, you know, you found out like how many fake friends there were and stuff, but you still stuck to what your morals were, even if it meant, I've known you've gone alone so many times, but you always came out fighting because you stayed true to who you were.
And what would your advice be to all, you know, kind of aspirational women who want to go into acting and are battling their weights or thinking that, you know, influencing is the way forward? What would your advice be to them?
To the
younger generation?
Find out who you are. That's the first, more than anything, learn who you are. Find what is it you want to, you're 90 years old, you're on your deathbed. What do you want to see as your flashback? What do you want? Like, who are you? Answer all those questions, do a plan, figure out how you're going to go about it. You have to start somewhere. You know, you got to crawl before you can walk, before you can run. But the important thing is you start. Research. Like, for example, I never worked in China ever as a model because I know that over there they prefer super white, skinny, fair girls, not even with any freckles. So, and I researched that because I'm just like, I'm not going to go waste my time in a market like China where I know loads of girls go, because I know that's not a market for me. You know, you've got to say someone like you've got like just people, you have to explore which market you want to go in. Some people from, you know, might come from the UK. I know one person in, I know this guy, he's British and he wasn't really doing much with his life. And then he went to Kenya where he had like some old relatives and was just like, oh, I see a gap in the market here. I'm going to set up a gym. And now he's doing like really well. It's about just finding your niche and where works for you. Just because, say, Bollywood won't work for you doesn't mean maybe British film or Hollywood or, you know, film in Europe and stuff like that.
And how do you deal with trolling? Because I've seen that you've been trolled a few times.
You just ignore it. But also,
and I know that you do write comments back.
Because but also sometimes like the law has changed. That's what people don't realise. In the UK about 2 years ago, the law changed. There's the Miscommunications Act whereby you can call 101 and you can report it.
Really?
India takes it also very seriously. You can file FIRs and stuff like that. They take it very seriously. You've had, I don't know if you guys have seen where like, you know, there's been like, there was a rape threat against, what's his name? Virat Kohli's daughter. She's 3. Yeah. Because he lost the cricket match. The police take it incredibly serious. And that was someone writing it online. This stuff is taken very seriously. Like, you know, there are certain portals like in India where, you know, there is the accurate reporting. You just got to do the research and you'll see it. But online trolling, people don't realize, is taken very seriously now. Even on TikTok, you can call, here in London, you can call 101. You always keep screenshots and then you just file it with the police, because either way, log it. Always log it. I had an ex recently, I told you, sorry, that sent like really like rude, like horrible, like abusive messages at 4 a.m. And I'm just like, I didn't feel anything. I'm just like, I feel sorry for you because you're clearly hurting. I don't hate you or anything like that, but I will log it with the police because what you're doing is like, it's illegal. Like, people think that, oh no, but they're just trolls. I'm like, but it is illegal because it does borderline on harassment. And say if someone was like going through stuff and they're receiving all this abuse and then they kill themselves, there is accountability that exists in law, you know? So at least that, if that's one thing we can get across today, is that if someone is trolling you, record it, keep track of it, dates, time, report it to the police. Call 101.
What happens with, just for young people right now, they're all doing the Snapchat where you, like cyberbullying is happening this way. Is it the same rules that apply?
Yeah, it's social media. It's the Miscommunications Act.
Okay.
So it encompasses all of social media.
What about
the thing
the
with
single?
So even with Snapchat, so people don't realize, the police do have tech teams. They can track IP addresses, but one of the main concerns when people say, are you on Snapchat? No, because one of my main concerns is that Snapchat recently has like one of the record things in terms of like child abuse and like underage and all of those things. As a parent, I'm not a parent, so I can't really comment. All I'm aware of is that there's safety protocols, but obviously it's difficult if your kid's in the room, you don't know what they're up to. But I would stress that if you know anyone or if you think anyone is being trolled or anything like that, always report it, whether it being to a teacher, the police, or an adult who will take action. That's the main thing.
And is romance blooming in the air for you? All your fans are probably wanting to know that. Has Elena found love?
Until there's a
She's
ring
still
until there's a ring on my finger, then.
And have you taken any co-Bollywood stars in the industry yourself?
No, I don't take people in my field.
Do you not?
No, I don't.
Is that just one of your rules?
No, it's just that like I don't. Actors are just it's not that they don't have depth. It's just that I like people. It's just I wouldn't even date like if I was working in the legal field, I wouldn't really date like a fellow lawyer. Like I just like I don't know. I like it. It just depends. If we click, we click. But just generally not in the entertainment field. It's always for me that just seems like a work environment and like no.
And what qualities do you look for that a man needs to have in a
Well,
life
first
partner?
qualities, I think like you have to have the ability to communicate. Like just in general, like if you don't have the ability to communicate, you're not going to get anywhere. You have to be kind. You obviously have to be funny. And it's not, people just think like, oh, because I'm so well educated that the other person has to be. I'm like, no, but have a willingness to learn. One thing I can't stand is ignorance, because I'm just like, you can be stupid, but then you educate yourself to become smarter. But if you're just ignorant and refuse to learn, then just no, I don't have time for that. There should always be an ability to want to learn and to improve. Exactly. And I like ambition. I find ambition very attractive. I don't like bums. I'm like, because it's just a waste of your life. Some people didn't wake up today. And what are you doing? Nothing. Like, seriously, like, it's just I feel people have such a disregard for life these days. And it's really sad. Like, and people have become so desensitized to death. You see kids on video games and it's like, death is like nothing, like you had that teacher like up in north of the UK that the other day, like that was stabbed, with two students fighting. And it's just like, there's so little value for life these days. And it's so sad. So yeah, so you have to be ambitious and appreciate life and just in general, just be a good person. And generally, if you do drugs and smoke, no.
So proud of you. Even yesterday I went to the premiere and you said I don't drink. I was like, wow.
Yeah, she was like,
Anisha
went over, she's like, Elena, there's some drinks here. I was like, no, I'm good, I've had my water.
Honestly, but this is how, and what, in terms of like, I know that you really take care of your skincare, with Dr. Vanita being obviously a skincare doctor, and what do you do in your spare time? Like, how do you just have your switch off mode? I
just watch my TV shows. Like I'll watch like Law and Order, or I'll watch comedy, or I'll see like I want to see the film Sound of Freedom just to see what the political. But right now there's no release for it for the UK. It's just in the US. But either way, whether it's factually correct or not, they're raising awareness on a topic, and it does leave it open for you to go and do research, which is what a lot of people have been doing. Otherwise, it's just like relaxing and chilling with my pets and just doing nothing. Because you're always on all the time. Yeah. That you just want to switch off and do nothing.
And she literally is a homebody.
Yeah, I know, because otherwise your job is like you have to go to awards and stuff like that. So so then I don't want to go out.
Homebody and bookworm.
Are you more of an introvert or an extrovert, would you say?
No, I'm an extrovert around correct people.
Yeah.
Introvert around the wrong people. Yeah. So if someone says to you, Elena's quiet, it means I don't like them. Yeah. Like, that's
yeah.
So extroverted and not around the right people. Yeah.
And what is next for you career-wise? What can we all look forward to in terms of your next movie release?
I don't know when that's being released. It's still in post. So I had one of the guys contact me the other day saying, oh, I've just seen, you never told me you were in this film, but it's not been announced yet. And I was like, oh, like, where were you? And he was like, no, I was in the editing room and stuff. And I was just like, oh, how did I look? How did I feel? Like that. But yeah, there's a huge like VFX like production and stuff like that.
Is that the British Asian one or the one with Tiger that's coming out?
Yeah.
2023, right?
Well, I don't know when. I think it's going to be pushed again because it's not ready.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. But it's fine. It's like, people don't realise, like, you can film a film like 2 years ago and it's only coming out Now, it takes a long time.
So post-production's 2 years?
No, it can depend. It can depend like on like each film. Like say for example, like any of the Marvel films, that took like 3 years, you know? It does take a long time. Like even Avatar, like it's taken like the next one they already started filming like 2 years ago. It takes a long time. People don't realize, you know?
And if you could choose any actor to co-star against, who would it be and why?
Even though he's had a lot of controversy over the years, I like Tom Hanks. Yeah, I really like Tom Hanks. I think that's because of Toy Story. Yeah, like so I really like Tom Hanks. I mean, I've met Leonardo DiCaprio a few times. I think he's a phenomenal actor. But otherwise, it's always very nice working with different creatives, different scripts, different teams, like all of that, and you get to meet like new people, and it's just. Like, it's not like it's another notch on the belt, but it's just like another experience, you know, because no two experiences are alike. So, yeah.
Oh, tell us one thing that no one knows about you. That's what we're asking everyone.
I don't know, because I don't know what people know. Actually, people only know what I tell them. That generally, it's not that people generally think that, I guess that, like, I don't care. It's not that I don't care. It's just that I'm not bothered. And I'm not bothered because I'm aware that you're entitled to your own opinions, and I can choose to either take it or leave it. But that may come across as that I don't care, but it's not. I mean, I guess it's just that I'm not bothered, because you can't let everything in life affect you, and you can't take on everything everyone says. Otherwise, you're going to just constantly be on this, like, wheel, you know? But, like, 9 times out of 10, like, when people gossip and stuff, it's just like, whatever. It truly is that, like, I'm just not bothered. It doesn't affect me.
But I love that you go and confront them as well, and I've seen you do it.
But I do that for fun, you know?
And they're shocked because they're like, she's actually had the balls to come and confront us.
But you should always hold people accountable, because I'm just like, because then sometimes they'll look back like later on in life and they'll be like, you know, I'm kind of happy that you made me grow up, you know? It's childish. And what are you going to do, sit and gossip? I'm like, I don't care. Like, go, like, live your life, you know? But you have to hold people accountable, no matter who they are. If something's like been done wrong, or there's been an injustice or a thing, hold that person accountable. Like,
I
don't
agree.
engage
I think it
in
actually
it.
changes then all the other relationships that person has in the
Yeah,
future.
because they're now very aware. They're just like, oh my God, you know? So you might have changed. You want to use your word. You might have influenced.
Not my word. I didn't make the word.
Just bring out from, you know, earlier. No, but, you know, you kind of give people, like, a personal check, you know, just saying, I'm sorry, but this is unacceptable.
Yeah.
And
We should do that more, actually.
And I will no longer.
I don't, like, pull people up.
Yeah, you don't.
But I think I might.
Because I know both of you are aware of, like, how bitchy and gossipy.
I now do.
You know?
I now do.
Yeah,
Yes.
Anisha has done it, because I've seen her. She's like, you know something, I don't find that right. Anisha, and I've seen her say it.
But it took me a long time.
And I'll be standing there with her.
I'll do
like,
it.
Go, Anisha, go.
I'll be so diplomatic in the way that I do it still.
Yeah. Then I'll go
but
for
I
the
do.
kill.
I do.
But no, you do. I've seen you do it. You're just like, you know,
That's
something
second
like,
time.
Yeah,
And a lot of strength.
But you do it. You know, you're just gonna say, you know, something. No, like, that's not cool, or just walk away from that conversation and just be like, you know, something. I'm not comfortable with this.
Yeah.
And then just walk away.
Or
and
I'm not
that
comfortable
takes-
with you speaking to me like this,
Yeah.
or not respecting me
or talking
like
about
this.
my friend,
Yeah.
you know, like, because I never understood it when people would be like, say there was my best friend, and I would not be best friends with someone that my friend hated. So I don't get it when everyone's then, you know, I'm just like, no. If my best friend hates you, then I cannot be your friend, because my loyalty is with that. Yeah, but a lot of people like murder those lines. They're like, yeah, I'm still talking. I'm just like, don't really trust you then, you know, because it's just like, it's not that, because you're loyal to, my big thing is like loyalty and stuff like that. Like, you just wouldn't be friends with your friend's enemy. Like, to me, that doesn't make sense. Like,
But you do have a few handful of friends that you do trust fully, right?
yeah, but they're not in the industry.
Yeah.
They're people that I've like grown up with, and that I know, like, you know, with Justice and stuff like that. You've met some of them, like my uni friends. You know, they're very down to earth, very like well versed, very like morally positive, correct, like individuals who are very strong, very ambitious. Like, I've got one friend, Nana, from uni, who's just an incredible like woman from, like, she's American Armenian, and there's so many people like in my life, I call them like little pockets of light, you know, that they're strong enough to walk their path alone and do what needs to be done because they believe in it. They don't have a fan base or anything like that, but each person they meet, you know, they touch that person with a bit of light, because, you know, people see, oh my God, this girl is doing that, or this guy is doing this, you know, and they do it.
And you know, another thing we never touched upon is obviously you being multicultural as well, from your Peruvian roots to obviously your Indian roots.
Yeah.
Do you think that's also obviously shaped you in some way?
I hate when, for me,
Yeah.
I'm British.
Yeah.
That's it. I hate this whole diversity box ticking thing. Get the job because you're competent to do it.
Doesn't matter where you're from.
Not
Yeah.
because of what you identify as or your sex. So get the job because you're competent to do it. You know, it's very simple. So I've never thought of like, oh, like, you know, I'm half Indian, I'm half Southern. I'm British. I was born here. I'm British. I'm proud to be British. I love the royal family. Like, you know, that sort of thing. I am British. That's it. I don't play the whole like race card or identity card. You know, I'm very like conservative in my values, and that's it. And therefore, my circle is of people who are mainly kind of like conservative and stuff. However, I also appreciate other people's opinions. That's absolutely fine because no two people are made the same. That's cool.
Brilliant. Thank you so much
for
coming
you so much
on
for coming.
to our podcast. We have the obviously amazing Elena Fernandes.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, we are in the comment section for 1 hour at the launch of every YouTube video. So when you subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell.
So make sure you follow, like, and subscribe onto our podcast page called Taboo Table Talks. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram as well.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.